Hello everyone, and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful Today channel. Will Taylor's drastic plan keep Brooke away from Ridge? Taylor sent Nick Marone a desperate SOS. Updates and spoilers for the bold and the beautiful hint that Taylor Hayes would ask Nick Marone for help. Is Taylor using Nick's impending return as a ploy to keep Brooke Logan away from Ridge Forrester? If Brooke wanted a man, Taylor strongly suggested that she should find another one. Taylor seemed to be telling Brooke in the April 14th episode of B&B that if she was serious about dating, she should look for a different partner. It's clear that Brooke sees Ridge as her genuine soulmate and has no place for other love interests, as she swiftly responded by asserting that Ridge is the one man she wants. Taylor may have to act as a matchmaker if she wants to cut Brooke out of the picture. Taylor makes an effort to appear self-assured and unenvious, yet her actions betray this. If Taylor starts to worry about Brooke and Ridge getting back together, she might think about contacting Nick, one of Brooke's ex-partners. Taylor and Nick also had a romantic relationship, but at the moment, Taylor is only interested in Ridge. Although Nick is also Taylor's ex, she is only thinking about Ridge at the moment and isn't changing her relationship with the father of her adult children. Taylor might think that she can get Brooke's attention and divert it from Ridge by acting as a matchmaker and reintroducing single Nick into the picture. Taylor may easily draw attention to Brooke's terrible situation following her split with Ridge and beg Nick to visit. She might take a sympathetic approach, attempting to convince Nick to offer some assistance. As an alternative, Taylor can organize a noteworthy occasion or come up with another excuse to lure Nick back to town. Regardless of her approach, Taylor might be responsible for Nick's comeback. Taylor may approach Nick in an attempt to revive his romance with Brooke, no matter how she plans it. Now that it has been announced that Jack Wagner will play Nick Marone again on June 13th, it is ideal to make assumptions regarding his future plot. Is it your opinion that Taylor will contribute to Nick's return? If his comeback was due to Taylor, nobody would be shocked. According to upcoming CBS soap opera spoilers, after Nick returns, Brooke will get some shocking news, so stay tuned for the exciting events that will undoubtedly transpire. Does Brooke's embarrassment increase as she hits the sheets with Carter? According to previews for The Bold and the Beautiful, lustful Brooke Logan might succumb to her wounded pride by repeating her previous error of hooking up with one of her daughter's boyfriends. Brooke is currently furious that Ridge Forrester turned her down in favor of Taylor Hayes. Hope Logan is being made fun of by Taylor and her daughter Steffi Forrester, who are taking great pleasure in the situation. Rose the Nose, Daphne. In summary, Daphne Rose was employed by Steffi to separate Hope and Carter Walton. Perhaps a bit too much, but Daphne was successful. When Daphne disparaged Hope to Carter this week, Brooke lost it. Prior to this, Carter informed Brooke that he still had feelings for her daughter, therefore it makes sense that Brooke would be upset. Daphne has no authority to fire someone, but Brooke threatened to take away her job if she didn't avoid Carter. Are you a fan of Carter and Daphne Rose? Perhaps at the Outside FC gym, where we can see Brooke closely monitoring Carter? Doesn't Carter need to remove his shirt and get an iron? We believe that now would be a good moment for the FC men to come together and flaunt their pecs just in time for Brooke to get a good look. It has been a while since they did so. Brooke's reputation as soft isn't a coincidence. She isn't fussy and has slept with every Forrester man. According to our prediction, Brooke will find it more difficult to see Ridge happy and together, which will reveal her really self. Brooke's error? Carter is currently filled with passion but has nowhere to go. Can Brooke and Carter fall into each other's arms and engage in pitying sex? Tell us, B&B fans. Carter has never been in a committed, long-term relationship, and we don't believe he ever will be. Do you believe Brooke could have made a gravely poor choice by having an affair with Carter? For Brooke, Nick Marone is returning. Is her relationship with Ridge permanent? When Nick Marone makes a comeback for Brooke Logan on Bold and the Beautiful, she might finally move past Ridge Forrester. We'll talk about how Brooke might come to the conclusion that her future is too bleak and that it's time to give up on Ridge after Nick returns to B&B. Spoilers for Bold and the Beautiful, Brooke perseveres. Brooke continues to hope that Ridge hasn't been forever lost to Taylor Hayes. By telling Brooke that she can get Ridge back, just as he is certain she can get Hope Logan back, Carter Walton is giving her hope. However, I don't think any of those things are certain right now. Brooke continues to hold on to the belief that Ridge is the one man she could ever want and that they would eventually reconcile. Brooke is trying to persuade herself that, but Taylor isn't having any of it. That's precisely what she's telling Taylor. Recently, Brooke was spotted prancing about in her bra and underwear while attempting to throw herself at Ridge during the workplace. Brooke was reprimanded by Taylor for her need and desire. However, she seemed a little uneasy, you know. She shouted. Conversely, Brooke was disappointed that Ridge had not realized her strategy had failed. Nick Marone's exciting return. Will Brooke Loga's life be completely different after Jack Wagner's B&B comeback? Naturally, we also found out that Nick Marone is going back to LA. And Brooke's life might be completely altered by his return. Although Ridge is frequently mentioned as her destiny, he is by no means the only man who has ever entered her bedroom, touched her heart, or put a wedding band on her finger. You might not know that Brooke was once in love with and married Ridge's half-brother, Nick, if you're a new viewer, like some of the people who have questioned me about it in the comments. Brooke on the merry-go-round, brave and lovely. Brooke was lured back to Nick several times, but she also found herself going back to Ridge. And here's a quick reminder if you don't know who Nick is. In the past, Massimo Marone and Ridge's mother, Stephanie Forrester, had an affair. Joseph Mascalo, a gifted and accomplished actor best known for his Days of Our Lives character Stefano Di Mera, played him. Ridge's biological father is Massimo, Nick's father. However, Stephanie had given Eric Forrester false information concerning her conversations with Massimo. He also had the constant feeling that he was Ridge's biological father. B&B spoilers, secrets about the family are exposed. Naturally, Eric raised Ridge as his own. And only Stephanie knew Massimo was, well, none of them did. I think she was aware already. As an adult, however, Ridge discovered that Massimo was his father. Ridge needed a blood transfusion after an accident. Thus, Ridge and Eric made the big announcement. Brooke wasn't sure if Ridge or Nick was the father of R.J. Forrester, played by Joshua Hoffman, when she became pregnant. Because she had a really close relationship with both of them. Well, I won't tell you the whole story. There is a lot of drama and rivalry between Nick and Ridge over Brooke and their biological father, Massimo, in addition to the back and forth. Additionally, there is the complicated past involving Stephanie and Eric. Spoilers for Bold and the Beautiful, Brooke, Ridge, and Taylor's love triangle will be upended by Nick's reappearance. Brooke is abruptly unmarried. Nick is also going back to LA. He will surely divert her attention from her grief over Ridge and her argument with Taylor over their mutual ex-husband. Additionally, Nick appeared once in 2022 as part of a dream sequence with Brooke, in case you missed it. At the time, I think he was dressed in a Navy uniform. There has been a minute. 3 years have passed. You're in for a treat if you haven't seen Nick yet. The incredibly attractive and seductive Jack Wagner, who starred in When Calls the Heart and as Frisco Jones on General Hospital, plays him. Like great wine, he simply grows better with age. And I can't wait for Jack Wagner to make a comeback to Bold and the Beautiful. On June 13th, Brooke's second significant other, Nick, will be back at B&B. In fact, Jack Wagner began filming last week. Additionally, Brooke will have been apart from Ridge for 6 months by the time she sees Nick again, suggesting that he has been happily dating Taylor the entire time. Expect love, jealousy, and family drama in Nick's extended B&B arc. According to rumors, Jack Wagner will be on Bold and the Beautiful for a while. Just when Brooke is feeling especially depressed after losing Ridge and him turning down her numerous pleas for him to come back to her, Nick shocks her by showing up in Los Angeles. It is anticipated that all of this would rekindle Brooke's unresolved affection for Ridge's brother, Nick. Spoilers for the return storyline indicate that Brooke finds comfort in Nick's return. Additionally, he gives her the stability she sorely needs right now. They get passionate again. And since Nick still loves Brooke, this flashback to her romantic past might provide her a chance at happiness. However, Ridge's sentiments can shift if he sees Brooke and Nick get back together. Spoilers for Bold and the Beautiful. Does Ridge feel envious? If Ridge is jealous, Nick and Taylor might be taken aback. Because Brooke betrayed him, he is certain that their relationship is gone. He also asserts that Taylor is his future. However, everything might alter if Ridge discovers Brooke having an affair, particularly if that someone is his brother Nick. You can bet that Taylor will be irritated if Ridge starts to feel jealous. Fans of Bold and the Beautiful for a long time would remember Nick's romance with Taylor. Taylor and Nick had a previous marriage. In keeping with the usual B&B odd family overlap romance, Nick was also married 3 times to Bridget Forrester, Ashley Jones, Brooke's daughter. And what if Ridge gets jealous of Nick and decides to leave Taylor and return to Brooke? Spoilers for Bold and the Beautiful. Will Nick save the day? Yes, after all these years of hesitating, I would like to see Brooke advise Ridge to go and stay with the other brother. I only hope Brooke and Taylor don't start fighting over Nick instead of Ridge if things on Bold and the Beautiful turn out this way. In contrast to the stale triangle of love that we've seen with Ridge, Brooke, and Taylor, it would at least be a fresh one. Although there are a number of intriguing options, it would be nice to see Brooke and Taylor with someone other than Ridge. I think having Nick back will be fantastic, regardless of how things work out. Along with some new Brooke content, I'm forward to see how Nick's homecoming will change the way we perceive Taylor and Ridge. Furthermore, Nick's comeback to Bold and the Beautiful is still a ways off. Thus, until Brooke hits this extremely low place, we will see more of Ridge and Taylor's bliss, which will keep breaking her heart. Nick comes to the rescue on horseback. I can't wait. Taylor's desperate attempts to keep Ridge at Forrester are confronted by Brooke. By drawing attention to the psychiatrist's continued presence at Forrester Creations, Brooke Logan corrects Taylor Hayes. Does Taylor's desperate attempt to keep Ridge away from his ex-wife reveal her insecurities? After the intense disagreement, Taylor is unable to speak until Brooke brings up their past. After giving Taylor a harsh reality check, Brooke leaves her stunned. When Brooke reveals Taylor's obvious weakness, her desperate attempts to shield Ridge at Forrester Creations backfire spectacularly. The ongoing conflict between Taylor Hayes and Brooke Logan at Forrester Creations has erupted, and Brooke isn't holding back. The world-famous psychiatrist was left speechless when the Logan matriarch decided to confront her opponent with some unpleasant facts since she had had enough of Taylor's constant presence at FC. Disclosing Taylor's desperate hovering. For weeks, Taylor has been showing up at all hours of the day like a Ridge Forrester security detail, inventing ever flimsier excuses to visit Forrester Creations. Taylor's frequent visits to the design house have become into a regular occurrence, and everyone has noticed. At last, Brooke went up to her longtime rival and mockingly inquired as to whether Taylor must have a lot of time on her hands to be spending her entire day with FC. Taylor made an effort to maintain composure, but the scathing comment undoubtedly touched a nerve. Brooke continued to sink the knife. It's as if she's taken up shop at Forrester, he replied. What is it called in your line of work? Paranoia? The argument intensified when Taylor made a weak defense by saying she had a customer cancel, which Brooke promptly exposed. Brooke didn't back down. Instead, he doubled down, suggesting that Taylor was at FC only to watch her and prohibit her from having any private moments with Ridge. The reality that made Taylor quiet. Brooke reminded her rival of their location, a fashion house where fittings are held all day, when Taylor attempted to deflect the conversation by saying that Brooke was attempting to ambush Ridge in lingerie during a fitting. However, Brooke's statement that Taylor is so insecure about her relationship with Ridge that she feels obliged to physically place herself between him and Brooke at all times was the most agonizing part. Taylor's actions suggest that she is aware that history can happen again at any point, rather than having faith in Ridge's commitment. Taylor was forewarned by Brooke about an inevitable reality: Ridge always finds his way back to Logan. Additionally, Taylor did not return for the first time in their decades-long conflict. Her deepest worries were largely exposed by her silence. Ridge is still visible. Ridge Forrester was blissfully oblivious to Taylor's desperate behavior while the ladies in his life engaged in a violent altercation. He seems to be unaware that his current partner has established a second office at FC specifically to keep tabs on his interactions with Brooke. I'm hoping that Logan has noticed Taylor's actions and knows what the psychiatrist is doing. One wonders how long it will take for Ridge to find out about Taylor's blatant insecurities and how he will respond to this degree of mistrust. The unavoidable results? There are serious questions regarding the viability of the Ridge-Taylor romance after Brooke and Taylor's violent meeting. Does this mean Taylor has already seen the writing on the wall if she is truly worried about Ridge spending time alone with Brooke? Brooke's assurance that Ridge would eventually come back to her was more than just a jab at her rival, it was a declaration that neither woman could deny. Taylor's personal insecurities are exposed by her incapacity to provide a defense. Despite being criticized for her obvious techniques, Taylor is determined to maintain her role as a watchdog at Forrester Creations. But Brooke's readiness to take on her rival head-on shows that she is determined to get Ridge, and history predicts that she will eventually succeed. After all, Ridge usually ends up back at Logan, as Brooke reminded Taylor. And it appears that nothing has changed this time. Oh my, Ridge loses it, Taylor's heart palpitations return, and Nick comes back for Brooke. Ridge Forrester rejected Brooke Logan's advances, but this does not necessarily mean he wants to see her with someone else, according to spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful. Ridge is anticipated to give birth to a litter of kittens if Brooke moves on with his brother Nick Marone. B&B lovers, here's what you need to know about this hot, delectably soapy situation. Taylor, Ridge, Nick, and Brooke. Massimo Marone was Ridge and Nick's biological father. Ridge's hidden brother's presence fueled sibling rivalry, and he was brought up to believe that Eric Forrester was his father. Fights over the Tsab are involved. Has Brooke never had sex with any of the men connected to Ridge? The bedroom of Brooke is real. When Nick Marone encounters Brooke on his way back to B&B, we anticipate explosions. Will Ridge tell Nick to keep his distance? Coming from the himbo who is presently dating Taylor Hayes, it would be Ridge, but Ridge is fully capable of handling it. We can see Ridge and Nick fighting over Brooke again, as they have in the past. Ridge would desire Brooke back, but how would he escape Taylor's grasp and run the risk of putting her in danger of dying from broken heart syndrome once more? The new shotgun wedding is broken heart syndrome. Broken heart syndrome is the driving force behind Ridge's life. Ridge can't envision Brooke with anybody else, and if she's with his brother, old feuds can come up again. Hot B&B teasers indicate that Brooke will seek comfort from Nick after Ridge dumps her. What happened to her strong big girl remarks when she and Tay-Tay became best friends some time ago? Recall her statement that she could be happy without a man? Hope's love life is so dysfunctional because of this. Her vow was rejected by Brooke. On June 13th, fans will see Nick's debut, and we presume that Brooke is a major factor in his return to the city. Should Ridge and Nick battle over Brooke, in the opinion of B&B fans? Or would you prefer that these adults mature and make wiser choices? Brooke is being enabled by Katie Logan. According to previews on The Bold and the Beautiful, Katie Logan might be helping her sister Brooke Logan. It's not what you may anticipate, though. For all the information you require, keep reading below. Even though Brooke has made it clear that he no longer wants her and has moved on with Taylor Hayes, it seems like Katie is the one who is continuously urging him to get back together with Ridge Forrester. Even though Brooke might experience grief if she follows her heart, Katie nevertheless encourages her to do so. The woman should have learned from her own mistakes by now, wouldn't she? That doesn't seem to be the case, though. Needless to say, the situation was widely discussed on the internet. She would look at him and not care, it would probably drive him crazy, according to some B&B fans, who even said, "What I really, really want is for Brooke to get amnesia and forget she ever loved Ridge." According to teasers for The Bold and the Beautiful, Katie ought to quit giving Brooke poor advice. "She is the only Logan woman I like, but please stop pushing her to try to get back together with a man who doesn't want her," was the next comment. He has moved on. Now that he's with Taylor, just let them be content and leave them alone. Leave it that way if you can't stand it. If you really loved your sister, you would tell her to move on, then try and be with someone who doesn't want her anymore. Naturally, fans will have to watch every day to see what happens next. The Bold and the Beautiful airs on CBS weekdays. Check the local listings for timings. Please share your thoughts by leaving a comment below. Brooke is given hope for the future by Katie. Brooke sat on the bleachers behind the school, hoodie sleeves pulled over her hands, chin tucked down, staring at the empty field as if the answers she needed might be written in the grass, and for the first time in a long time, she felt tired, not the kind of tired sleep could fix, but that heavy, soul-weary kind of tired that, and something in the way it was said, that careful kindness, made her finally lift her head, and there was Katie, silhouetted by the lights of the parking lot, a small takeout bag in one hand, her brows drawn together with concern that didn't ask questions, just walked over and sat beside her like it was the most natural thing in the world, not pushing, not prying, just being there, and that alone made something crack open inside Brooke, because lately it felt like everything Brooke laughed, or maybe half laughed, half cried, because of course Katie would know, and as they sat there sharing food and quiet, the tension in Brooke's chest started to uncoil just a little, like a tightly wound spring finally easing, and after a while, she whispered, "I don't know if I'm cut out for all of this anymore," and Katie didn't say "don't say that" or "of course you are," she just let it hang in the air like truth. Simply be who you are. That's more than enough, and Brooke turned to look at her then, because no one had said that to her in so long, no one had given her permission to just exist without proving herself, without earning her space, and in that moment, Katie's presence felt like a tether back to herself, to the version of Brooke who believed in things, who had dreams that weren't buried under pressure and expectations, and they talked for hours, about nothing, about everything, about how scary it was to imagine a future when the present already felt so overwhelming, but somewhere between story fragments and stargazing, Brooke realized she wasn't alone, not really, not while Katie was still around, because Katie listened with her whole heart, asked questions that mattered, and saw Brooke not as a symbol or a leader or a strong one, but as a person, flawed and real and still worthy of love and care. And by the time the wind started picking up and they tucked their hands deeper into their sleeves, Brooke felt something she hadn't felt in months, hope, not because anything was magically fixed, but because Katie had reminded her that she didn't have to do it all alone, that vulnerability wasn't weakness, and that there were still people in this world who showed up not for what you could give them, but simply because they cared. And when Katie gently bumped her shoulder and said, "Whatever happens next, you've got me, okay?" From that moment on, Brooke carried that night with her, not as a dramatic turning point, but as a quiet anchor, a reminder that even in the darkest hours, someone could show up with light, and sometime. Brooke nodded, blinked hard, and for the first time in a long time, she believed it. Hope can sometimes be found in quiet conversations, dumplings, and someone willing to sit beside you when everything seems to be falling apart, rather than in fireworks or speeches.